Welcome to the Carr Brothers with Jeff, Jack, and Jody Carr. They talk about current events, politics, community, and business. Take it away, boys.
Hi there. Welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 161, and I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers. Welcome to tonight's show. We're very pleased to have a country music singer, a member of the New Brunswick Country Music Hall of Fame, a member of the New Brunswick Gospel Music Hall of Fame as well, from Durham Bridge. Great guy. You'll hear about his 50 years of songwriting and recording. Please welcome Dwane Drost.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm honored to be here. I'm looking forward to this interview.
Well, it's great to have you, and we've known you, at different events and different things like that, but also seeing on Facebook and, and back in the day in the newspaper, different shows that you've done and things like that. And tell us, you weren't born in New Brunswick, but you came here quite a number of years ago.
Yeah, my mom and dad are from the Nakwik area, Southampton, in the 50s, and they moved to Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Dad was looking for work at the time. I was born in Toronto and went to school there for kindergarten, grade 1 and 2, and then in 1965 we moved back to New Brunswick. And I was glad to get out of the city. I'm still a Leaf fan, but...
And, it says here you got 3 kids, 6 grandchildren, and you've been a singer and songwriter for 50 years. I guess since you were 7 you started singing.
Yeah, I've been singing for quite a while. Actually, my cousins were in a band up in Nakwik called the Stairs Family Band. And when I was 14 years old, they invited me to go sing with them at the Elks Club in Woodstock.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't leave the stage. I was underage. I had to be on the stage. And I remember singing Charlie Pride's Crystal Chandeliers.
Ooh,
that was the very first song I ever sang publicly.
Oh, really? Wow.
And it was great. And of course, being a young kid, everybody clapped, and I felt good about it. And that's when I got the bug to say, hey, I like this. So, I haven't looked back, really.
Oh, that's quite something. We're going to hear about your, you had a couple of trips that you've had in Nashville. You've recorded a couple of songs in Nashville and had a bus trip to Nashville as well, which is an amazing story. So we'll hear about that. That's a little tee up there for our viewers. And but you've got a band. What's your band called? And you do a couple shows a year with them now?
Yeah, well, our band's called Where Rivers Meet. We started in 2010, and there were 7 of us. Eventually, there's only 4 of us started out, and then we just kept adding to the band.
Right.
And there was 7 of us for a number of years, and we did a show every month for like 8 or 10 years. A lot of work.
Yeah.
None of us are getting any younger, and since COVID hit, that really sort of set us back a bit. We lost one of our great friends, Bobby Cleghorn, our piano player. Oh, okay. But we've started doing. We had enough people calling us and saying, "When are you going to start shows again?" So we did a couple shows last year, went over very well, and we had a meeting and decided to do it again this year. So we're going to do 2 more shows this year. May the 9th is going to be our first show this year, and we're going to do one in November sometime. So don't know the dates on that yet, but.
And May the 9th, you said, at the Heritage Center?
Yeah, at the Kinsman Center.
Oh, Kingsman.
Yeah, on School Street.
In Fredericton. Wow. Yeah, and you get quite a turnout at these shows.
We've been very fortunate. We've had a great following over the years, and we're pushing 200 people sometimes.
Sometimes standing room only.
Well,
all within fire marshal's regulations, but that's the
trust
thing.
Me, the regulars come doors open at 6, and there's people sitting in their cars at 5 o'clock.
Wow,
eating their supper, which is great because they like what we do, and we love doing it, and we have a lot of fun. We just pick on each other while the show goes on. It's all off the cuff, and I think that's what makes them feel good about the show.
Yeah.
It's more down to earth.
And how often you guys, you said it takes a lot of work. I mean, you don't just show up that night. You guys have to meet and practice.
We do practices. We used to do one every week for a month before the show. We're getting older and slower now. We're cutting her down to 2 practices before. We're picking songs that we've done enough times that we don't really need to rehearse a whole lot.
Right.
So we're taking it from there and just see how it goes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you've got 6, as I mentioned, 6 full-length CDs. We got 5 here because you've sold out of your Christmas one, which is no surprise. 5 of them here, and several songs on there. And I'm assuming most, if not all, are
they're all
written
originals.
by you. Yeah. Originals. Wow, that's quite something. When did you? Do you remember your first time or first period of writing songs? How old were you then?
Probably 25 years ago, I started writing.
Yeah.
I started singing when I was 18. My wife, girlfriend at the time, bought me my first guitar for Christmas, and I took some lessons from my mom. She taught me how to play guitar, basically.
Oh.
And so I've been singing for quite a while. Then I started writing. I wrote a lot of songs in the basement of the house. I wouldn't sing in front of my wife. I was so embarrassed. And she'd come downstairs while I was singing. I'd stop. She'd say, "Keep going." I said, "No, you just get upstairs." But no, I don't know. The very first song I wrote was called "God Sent Me an Angel." It's a love song I wrote for my wife.
Oh,
And I did that for her last year.
Nice.
So
Wow.
yeah, I just put that on my arm for a keepsake for
tribute.
tribute to her.
And what's one of your sort of most well-known songs of over the years, 50 years of songwriting, 25 years or so, as you mentioned, and songwriting, memorable, something that's gotten you a lot of attention on that and inspiration for others?
Well, I have to say, and a lot of people have heard this song before, is the song I wrote in 2004 called "Thank a Vet."
Oh, yes, yeah.
That was the one I had no idea that a country hick like myself from Durham Bridge would get recognition that I have from this song.
And what's what was the inspiration behind that? There's some, of course, veterans and Remembrance Day means a lot to us, but
Yeah.
what was the inspiration particularly to you for this song?
As a young kid, I grew up around the Legion. My dad was a Legion member and the president, and he always went to the Legion on Sunday mornings, clean up the mess after the dances, and I always had to go and work with them. And I got to chat and meet a lot of the veterans. Back then, in the 60s, there were a lot of veterans still living. Anyway, one Sunday I got invited to go down to Wellsford to a gospel concert, and my wife couldn't go. So there was an older fellow, a veteran in our church group, Bunny Pond is his name, Robert Pond, they called him Bunny, a neighbor of mine, a great fellow. I asked him if he wanted to go for a drive to a gospel concert. He said, yeah. So he jumped in the car with me, away we went. So I picked his brain the whole way down about, I'm a history buff, I love military stuff. And he shared some great stories with me, some sad stories, some funny stories, just heartbreaking memorial stories. Anyway, it inspired me deeply. I had 4 uncles that was overseas in the war too, and by the grace of God, they all came home. So on the way home, I got thinking, I'm sitting here with a very special person beside me, and how much longer he's going to be on this earth, like he was in his 80s then. Wow. And I said, I got to write a song for these guys, for our veterans. So I got home that night, it was 11:15. I never went to bed. I went right downstairs. I grabbed my guitar and pen and paper. I wrote that song in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
First thing come to my head, I always just put a chord on the guitar and just find a line for opening a line. Don't let, I can't even remember the words now. Don't wait until Remembrance Day to thank a vet for what they've done, because you shouldn't have to wait. They should be thanked every day for what they've done. So we wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the inspiration.
Well, that's quite something. And then he got a chance to hear the recording, did he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, for sure. I had to get his approval. He was one of the guys. I want to hear that song. I told him I wrote a song for him, and he said, I want to hear it. So I go right down to his house with the guitar. And, yeah, he's a farmer. He was a great fellow.
What was it like when you played it for him for the first time?
Oh, he teared right up.
I bet.
Yeah. He had a twin brother, and he passed during the war, right in his arms.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Yeah, he shared. That's what I say. He shared some stories with me. It was amazing.
Wow! And as viewers know, or most know, Jody and I are twins.
Yeah.
By 7 minutes. But wow, that's quite a twin story of losing your twin right there on the battleground.
You're 7 minutes older?
7 minutes, yeah. Not necessarily smarter or better looking, but I am 7 minutes older.
You can never tell you're so young looking.
Right?
That's what I gathered from that question.
Okay.
But our veterans, they to have a song written like that, it means a lot. And there's such proud people too, and a lot of them don't want to talk about the history or what they have seen, whether good or bad, but to have a song attributed to them is special. Not a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people do that. I've heard a few here and there, but not a lot.
And
so it is
sorry,
very special.
I was just going to say, to cut you off. about that, the vets, hearing that song. I remember going to the Oromocto Legion as the member of the legislature, and every year, but generally at the suppers and the dinners for the veterans, and they'd play this song. And I just said to you, I can't remember if you were there personally, or I'd hear this song, and then you had said they were quite supportive of your song, and you had provided to each Legion a copy of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I donated $5 for every CD sold to the Legions each. I gave them all a bunch to sell, and they got 5, and I got 5. I basically got my money back, and just to help them out a little bit with the veterans and whatever. So
Wow.
they did well with it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
great.
important.
And now tell us about more about the song. You were telling us beforehand, but what the song has done for exposure and where that song's taken you.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of your highlights.
I'm glad we got a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was in October when I wrote that song. And I went to a friend of mine, Bev Jewett. He produced it at his studio.
Okay.
And he cut me 10 copies just for radio DJs because I wanted to get the song out to the radio stations before the Remembrance Day.
Right.
And so I had 6 or 7 of them out on different places, KHJ and whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a call from a friend of mine over in Boys Town wanting me to come sing some country songs at a little hootenanny they had going on over there. So that was great. I was over there singing, and right out of the blue, somebody in the crowd hollered out, "Play your new veteran song." And I didn't even know they knew I had a song out. Somebody had heard about it, apparently. I said, sure. So I sang it for them. And this was right on the 1st of November then. And, gee, I got a standing ovation. Like, it was amazing. They just loved it, which is great. Just then this white-haired, great gentleman come up to me and introduced himself. His name was Doyle Sowerby. And he said, "You don't know me from Adam." He said, "But I want to know." He said, "Do you have any copies of that song?" I said, "I really don't. I haven't got them produced yet. I got 2 or 3 in the car there. I plan on giving to radio stations. I'd like to have a couple of them," he said. I said, "Sure." I didn't want to. Yeah. I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm going to put one of them in the hands of somebody very special for you." I said, "Who might that be?" And he said, "President George Bush Sr."
Oh, wow.
And he was a veteran himself. And I said, "You do that for me." I said, "Do you fill your boots?" I said, "I'll get you more tomorrow." And he said, he took both 2 CDs, one for himself and one for Mr. Bush. So anyway, I let that go at that. And about 3 weeks later, I come home from work. I was working at O'Leary Pontiac at the time, selling cars. And I come home, there was this gray envelope on a Friday afternoon in my mailbox. And pulled it out, and it was from Houston, Texas. I looked at it, I said, "This must be a magazine or something." I didn't know what it was. Open it up, and here was a beautiful letter from President George Bush stating how much he loved my song and the CD that he was given from Mr. Sowerby. And I couldn't believe it. My sister-in-law, actually, at the time, she did a lot of framing and stuff, so I called her. I said, "I want you to frame this letter and the CD, make a nice picture frame for me." And she was going to do that. So Mark Taylor from the Daily Gleaner had been following me a little bit with my song. He heard about the song, and I had a little interview with Gleaner, and he said, "If any stories come up, I want to know about it." I said, "Okay." So when I get this letter from Mark Taylor, I called him that night on Friday. I said, "Mark," he said, "you wanted any stories about the Thank a Vet song to let you know?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, I said, "Well, I got a letter from George Bush Sr. tonight." And he said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What are you doing tomorrow morning?" So I said, "Sounds like I might be going to your place for an interview." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Bring that letter." And that's what I did. I got my sister-in-law to frame it up, took it to him. He took a nice picture, and we did a story, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So as far as I knew in my small brain, Mark Taylor was the only one that knew about this as far as media.
Right.
So Monday morning rolls around, and I'm laying there, and at 6:30 my alarm goes off. I whack it, and it says, this and that, blah, blah, blah. In the local news, we have a singer-songwriter, Dwane Drost, catches the ear of somebody very important south of the border. More on that in a few minutes. And I just about freaked out. I said, "How did they know about this?" So anyway, I got changed and went to work, and when I got to work, all these phone calls was coming in to where the girl, the receptionist says, "I don't know who all these people are. You got to call this guy, this guy, this guy." I had about 10 calls. I had to call the guy from Canada AM.
That Seamus
Seamus
Reagan.
Yeah, I had to call him and a whole bunch of other people that wanted to talk to me. But
Wow.
I ended up talking to the Wendy Mesley.
Yeah.
Yes.
On
Yeah.
CBC.
Yeah, she talked to her, and she said, "I understand you got a letter we need to talk about." I said, "Yeah, I have got an interesting letter." She said, "I want you down at Legislative Building tomorrow morning." So we went down there, and I did an interview about the song.
Yeah.
Like, all this happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this little room, 2 TVs, and I brought my guitar just in case they wanted me to play it. And she said, "That's a great idea." So anyway, I brought my guitar. We sang the song, did the interview. It just went over crazy. And then the lady that was doing the camera work, after the interview was done, she said, "Do you want to do another interview?"
Yep.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Who for?" She said, "ATV Live at 5. She was a camera woman.
Yeah.
So anyway, she said, "I want to do it somewhere different." So I said, "I got an idea for you if you're up to it." I said, Bunny Pond, the guy that inspired me to write this song, he's a farmer, but if I call him right now, he'd put his Legion jacket on, medals, the whole works. We could do an interview right in his kitchen. How would you think about that? Oh my, let's make it happen. So that's what we did.
Wow.
We went to his place and did an interview with him and me about the song. And while I was playing my song, they faded me out and put a picture of the military going house to house in Kuwait at the time. Like this,
Wow.
I got goosebumps. My hair stood up watching my song being played over top of these soldiers.
Yeah.
It was
Because it's
overwhelming.
back around 2004 or
Yeah,
so.
2004.
So that's Afghanistan time, and
Yeah.
we
was,
we were quite entrenched with some of that, and
Yeah.
some people, 100 and some military members didn't come back, and a lot of people affected. So
Yeah.
that was really meaningful. Wow.
Well, let's now throw it. We're going to talk more about the song when we come back, because there's some other letters you've gotten and another memorable event that you attended because of this song. But let's throw it to a previous recording before this interview started. We had you in the studio to record the Thank a Vet, and we'll throw it to that, take a little break, and then we'll be coming back right after this on the Carr Brothers with Dwane Drost.
Don't wait until Remembrance Day to thank a vet for what they've done. The battle goes on inside their head. Their war was never won. We'll never know what they went through, hidden stories in their face, the memories that they lived with of that awful place. The battle isn't over, even though the war was won. The grace of God was on the side of those who made it home. There were those who fought and died, fallen comrades one by one. So take the time to thank a vet and promise never to forget the sacrifice they paid and everything they've done. They were young and brave back then, a whole new world for them to see, and without a clue what was waiting for them, cross that cold and rugged sea. A trip to hell right here on earth, with loved ones on their mind. Many fought and prayed to make it home, but some were left behind. Their battle isn't over, even though the war was won. The grace of God was on the side of those who made it home. There were those who fought and died, fallen comrades one by one. So take the time to thank a vet and promise never to forget the sacrifice they paid and everything they've done. Take the time to thank a vet and promise never to forget the freedom that we have today is from the sacrifice they paid and everything they've done.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 161. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr brothers. Welcome back to our show. And what a fantastic first segment. And to hear live Dwane singing that song, Think of It. That was something else. And really, we came across really good there in the studio. And it's amazing to hear your background around the story there and the impact it's had, because people know about it. I mean, it's been 20 years?
24 years.
Wow, 20-some years. Yes. Time goes on.
Yeah.
But it's very relevant today, just as much as it was, certainly back then, was really relevant with our troops in Afghanistan.
And then, now, like you said, don't think of it, don't wait to thank of it just at Remembrance Day, but any opportunity that we can.
Yeah.
And that was quite something. And then, well, tell us about where the song took you and one of your highlights of your career and life that you've mentioned. So,
well, I'd have to say the biggest thrill in my life was having a chance to go to sing at the Parliament Buildings in Ottawa.
Wow.
A good friend of mine, Larry Gullison, who supported my music and always came to our shows and stuff. We got talking one day about music, and he asked me what my goals were and all this stuff. I said my biggest goal was to be able to have my song played at the Cenotaph in Ottawa one day, whether it's live or recorded, whatever. I'd just like to know that they have a chance to hear it. And he just sort of looked at me and grinned. He said, I might be able to make that happen. And Larry, knowing Larry, he's determined, and he has a great friend and Senator Speaker of the House, Senator Noel Kinsella was a good friend of his. And he talked to him about it, and Larry had a copy of my song. Mr. Kinsella listened to it, loved it, called me up and said, we want to have a meeting with you and come to town. And so we, up in November the 9th, I think it was 2013, they sent me up to Ottawa to perform my song. And like I was telling you earlier, the acoustics in that building just blew my mind, how beautiful it was. It was just like being inside of a barrel or something with... Like looking down at all the dignitaries down there when I'm up on that platform was an honor for me to see all those veterans looking up at me and then singing my song for them. That was just highlight of my life, really, for far as music. And for them to stand up when I get done singing and clap and give me a standing ovation was
just
almost overwhelming. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I can remember me being up on the balcony. It took me about 10 minutes to get from the balcony downstairs to the foyer where all the media was and all the people were and stuff. And I come around the turn with my guitar case, and Mr. Kinsella and his wife are there, and I remember her saying, there he is. So I come over, and they gave me a big hug, and Mr. Kinsella gave me a big hug, and he said, you did a wonderful job. I'm so proud of you, and that just made my day. Yeah, it was awesome. So.
And Senator Kinsella from New Brunswick, and you were saying how up there getting ready to perform and seeing all this, it's kind of a little emotional, this little guy from just little beginnings. And,
you got that right.
And you said you saw, you could have just stopped in the middle yourself, but what kept you going?
Well,
what strategy did you use?
Strategy I said I can't go up here and make a mistake or get thinking about what I'm singing about and start crying because I'm very soft. So I took a picture of my grandchildren. At the time, I only had 2 grandchildren. I clipped it to my my music stand, and I looked at their smiling little faces the whole time I was singing that song. I had the song memorized, so it just rolled out of me, sort of thing. But I kept looking at them the whole time, over top, looking down at the veterans too, but concentrating on them just to get through the song, which helped fire the nerves. I wasn't nervous; it was just more afraid of making a mistake.
Right.
More than anything, I didn't want to make Mr. Kinsella look like a fool for bringing this cowboy up to Ottawa, and no, it just went over great. It was just a big highlight in my life, really.
That's quite something.
That is quite
a great
something. I mean, I've watched my fair share of House of Commons and the Parliament buildings, and it's not very often that I see a performance like that in any of them, even in the legislature.
Yeah,
just don't get it a lot. So that is pretty special.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Kinsella had some influence, that's for certain, back in that time. So that's a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the chairman for Remembrance Day Service Week. He was the chairman of that board at the time. So that sort of. They let him invite whoever he wanted, sort of thing. So
now, did Larry escort you to Ottawa? Did he come
was there
too? Yeah.
Oh yes,
that's only right.
Oh yeah, we had a nice meal in the legislative building upstairs, and went to a hockey game, and yeah, it was it was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. And
that is good.
I think you mentioned too previously that you had a letter from Stephen Harper. A letter did you get
I
from
did.
him? From
A good friend of mine, Mike Allen, who was the MLA at the time, I gave him a copy and asked him if there was any chance he could present that to Mr. Harper, and he said, I'd love to. And I got a picture of him on the big picture I got from Stephen Harper, him presenting it to him, and he done his diligence, and I got a letter from Stephen Harper as well.
yeah.
And I also got a couple other letters.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah.
I got invited to go to the Parliament or the government house here one year to sing a song I had written for Alzheimer's. Herman Gale Chasson was the lieutenant governor at the time, and I got invited to sing that song because it was an Alzheimer's week or a day, whatever. And that went over well, and him and I had a chat, and I asked him just out of the blue, I says, any chance you representing the Queen, was there a chance that you might get a copy of my Thank a Vet song to go to England for them to hear and share it with their veterans? And he said, yeah, I can do that. So he sent a copy to Her Majesty, and within a few months, I got the Reign stamped letter with the Queen Elizabeth Reign thing on it, and right from the house. She didn't sign herself, but the secretary did, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got a letter from the Queen thanking me for my song and the tribute for the veterans and stuff. And and then just last year or 2 years ago, after King Charles became king, same thing. The Lieutenant Governor presently today, I can't remember her name. Anyway, she did the same thing for me. She sent it over to the king or the crown, and they sent back King Charles sent me a letter too.
Oh,
so.
wow.
Oh, wow.
So I got Queen and King and Prime Minister and George Bush Sr. all thanking me for my song.
We started this interview and you told us about when you got started, 7, 8, 12 years old, and your first guitar and your mom teaching you how to play guitar.
Yeah, she taught. She actually, before I got my first guitar, she had a guitar and she showed me a few chords and stuff. And then
And she helped you sing along with it and figure out the tune and all this.
She was a good singer herself.
What do you think she'd be saying today after all this? What did she think about you getting a letter from the Queen and the King and then
She was a very strong supporter of the royal family. She loved the royal family.
I just wondered maybe.
She would be ecstatic knowing that I got a letter from them. She was my biggest fan when I released my first CD. My mother was going around Naquick and the rural areas talking to people and selling my
sales,
CDs and cassettes for me.
She probably wasn't even taking a commission, was she?
No, we had them in little country stores, and she had them out all over the place. God bless her, she was a sweetheart.
I can only imagine she'd be pretty tickled that the Queen wrote you a letter and you were on the floor of the Senate or the Parliament. You were at the balcony of the
Senate chambers
of the Parliament. That's most can't say they've done that.
Right.
I know.
And you mentioned about how close you were to your mom and her being your biggest fan, and you mentioned previously too when you're at the old government house in New Brunswick about your Alzheimer's song, and tell us about that because that segues into connects with your relationship with your mom and writing the song.
Yeah, my mom had come from a family of 11 children. She was the youngest, and my Aunt Edna Ketch was the oldest. She was Mom's older sister, and she had Alzheimer's. That was back in the 1999, 2000 area. And my first cousin, Wendell Ketch, I met him one day, and my aunt was in the nursing home. And I asked him how she was doing, and he said, she's doing fine. She doesn't really know anybody anymore. He said, she doesn't know our names or nothing. She said, but... He said, we still go see her just the same. And that's what triggered a title for me. I said, there's a song right there for the Alzheimer's, just the same. So I don't know what it is. I'm blessed to write a song. When I write a song, get inspired to write a song, I can do it in less than half an hour. Most songs, I've never spent over 20 minutes writing. They just roll out of me.
Yeah.
So I wrote that song called Just the Same. I took it to the Alzheimer's Society at the time. And they just fell right in love with it. And they sent copies to Ontario, like to the head office and stuff. And one of the ladies at the Alzheimer's, her in Fredericton, she said she knew a woman that had Alzheimer's so bad that she couldn't speak. But when they played hymns, she could sing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like that that music is a healer for a lot of reasons. And that was very inspiring to know that people could actually
respond to it.
Yeah, and so that sort of gave me the idea of like, and when I wrote the song for my aunt 10 years ago, not knowing that my mom 10 years later would have the same diagnosis and pass from the same disease. But in the lyrics where it says she still remembers Jesus even though she don't remember her own name, that's sort of where I got the idea from that lady saying people couldn't talk but they could sing along with the hymns.
Yeah.
Like so. Anyway, that's been a very special. That's probably my favorite song I ever written. It means a lot to me, that one. I can thank That's Awesome, of course, but the Alzheimer's song is my favorite of all the ones I've written.
How do you sing a song like that still and not get emotional and be able to keep going without thinking about your mom or your aunt, but especially your mom who's so special to you?
Good question, because I couldn't sing that song publicly for like 4 years after I wrote it. I break down every time.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I gotta get into a groove, not think about the song, what I'm talking about, and just do it. I just did a songwriter circle with Joan Kennedy and some others up there for the Hall of Fame last year.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And I had Joan Kennedy in tears on stage when she heard the song, and it made me cry.
Yeah. Right.
When I look over, see her crying out there. Here we go. But it's a very touching song. I've had a lot of people giving me praise for it. Come up after a performance, grab my arm, say, "My soul, you have no idea what that song means to me." And people hugging me, like saying that song's for my mom too. And it is. It's a song for anybody that's lost a parent or your mother into Alzheimer's.
It's very life-changing, not just for the person that is diagnosed with it, but the whole family, and how do you adjust to that? And it's difficult.
It's a
So
terrible disease.
It touches a lot of people.
Yeah.
That disease does. And
It's right underneath the C one, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I guess the
very
only
cruel.
thing my mother never suffered. That's
a blessing.
Right.
with the C thing. People tend to suffer. And she went peacefully and had a lot of good years with her.
Yeah.
no kidding.
Well, before we get you crying, and all of us crying too much, Jack, I think we have another special. We've been able to get another special opportunity for Dwane Drost to play us this song.
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate. We had Dwane previous as well before the show started to record his Alzheimer's song called Just the Same, which is also on his gospel CD. So we'll throw it to that, and we'll take a little break after that and see you right back in our last segment here on the Carr Brothers Show with Dwane Drost.
Looking back, I can see her on her knees out in the garden, working hard, trying to make her flowers grow. Now she works hard every morning, wondering who she is and where she's gonna go. And it breaks my heart to see her as she looks into the mirror with a smile. Then she asks me, "What's my name?" Then I take her hand and tell her, and even though she don't remember, she's my mother, I still love her just the same. And she still remembers Jesus every day when she prays, even though she don't remember her own name. And I'll always go to see her, even though she don't remember. She's my mother, and I still love her just the same. I know God holds all the answers to the problems of this world, but I often wonder why and shed a tear, 'cause it wasn't very long ago that Mama sent a birthday card each year. Now I wonder if there'll ever be a time in her life she'll know my name. But I'm so glad that she knows Jesus. She's my mother, and I love her just the same. And she still remembers Jesus every day when she prays, even though she don't remember her own name. And I'll always go to see her, even though she don't remember. She's my mother, and I still love her just the same. Yeah, she's my mother, and I still love her just the same.
Hi there, welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 161. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr brothers. And we're so thankful that you're here tonight watching. But we're also thankful that Dwane Drost, you've joined us in studio for the Carr Brothers Show live on CHCO, recorded. And we're just an amazing song again. The Just the Same for Alzheimer's, very special, great memories, and really reaches to the heart of, anybody really, but more and more people are affected by Alzheimer's and dementia, all the same. Now you've got some other stories about going to Nashville. This is every country star's dream.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Every country singer's dream to go to Nashville. What brought you, and how did you get to Nashville, and what was that all about?
I was in St. John one evening singing at the Hall of Fame show that they had every year, an annual show, and Dorothy O'Brien, she ran the tour buses, and she was at the time seeing Wayne Hashey, who was the bass player in the band. So during an intermission, she comes up to me and says, "How would you like to go on a trip?" I said, "Well, I'd love to go on a trip, but it depends where and all this stuff." And
When am I coming back?
She showed me a catalog. She said, "You pick any trip in there you'd like to go. We'd like to bring you along on our tour bus, you and your wife, for a trip for 2 weeks." I said, "Really?" So I thumbed quickly through the book, and as soon as I seen Nashville, I said, "I'd love to go to Nashville." But I said, she looked after all the no expense. She said, "We're hiring you to be the entertainer."
On the bus.
On the bus, like at hotels when we stayed, any place there was a place to have an entertainment. Wayne was on the bus with us, so Wayne played bass and I played guitar. Nice. And the bus driver's wife was on us, and she had a guitar, so there was actually three of us. And for 2 weeks, we probably performed 9 times, like throughout 3 weeks, going to Nashville. Little did I know, the bus driver his wife had connections in Nashville through George Hamilton IV, who was a very famous singer.
Yeah.
She played in a band with one of his best friends. Anyway, long story short, we got to Nashville, and just 5 minutes before we get in the hotel, the bus driver turned on the speaker and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest going to meet us at the hotel tonight." And I sort of grinned. I said, "I wonder who that is." And we got off the bus, and it was George Hamilton IV was at the hotel. He shook everybody's hand. And when I get off the bus with a guitar, he says, "Oh, you got a guitar player, a singer."
Yeah.
And they laughed, and they said, "Yeah." And so we went into the foyer, and he was gracious enough. He signed everybody's autographs and stuff, and we had a great chat with him. And I said, "George, I said, you got to do me a favor." And I got him to sign my hat. I got him to sign my guitar. And I said, "I want you to do something for me." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "I want you to take my guitar, and you and I are going to sing your biggest hit." We sang Abilene, Abilene. So we sang that together in the foyer. Everybody just loved it. It was great. So it was late in the night, and we went. The bus driver said to me, "Is you hungry?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I'm actually." And it was like 8 o'clock, and everybody else ran upstairs to get changed to go downtown Nashville because they wanted to see the music, see if they can see
Broadway,
big artists, whatever. So the bus driver, he was calm, and he said, let's go across the road. There's a little restaurant tavern thing across the road named Johnny A's. And so we went there, my wife and I, and the bus driver and his wife. And all the way around there was pictures of signed autographs from famous artists. And I said, and they had a live band going on. It was awesome. So we sat there and had our meal, and the guy come over and asked us if we want anything else, and I said, I take it there's a lot of famous artists come in here, and he said, you never know who's going to walk in here. I said, if somebody famous walks in, you're going to tell me, right? And he said, oh, yeah, definitely. He said, they usually make their rounds. He said, I'll let you know. So we were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, I seen a bunch of flashes going on up overhead. There was a balcony up there. I said, somebody must have come through the door. So the guy comes by our table, and I said, somebody come in today? And he said, yeah. He said, Mel Tillis just come in.
Oh, wow.
I said, will he come downstairs? He said, oh, yeah, he'll be down after a bit. So we're sitting there talking, and I said, I got to go to the washer before Mr. Tillis comes downstairs. I get up, I swung, and I almost ran into him. He was right there.
Right there.
And he was just as common as you were. He had a pro bass hat on and blue jean jacket. And I said, Mr. Tillis. And he said, he did stutter too. He said, how y'all doing? I said, great. I said, a lot better now that I met you. And I said, you got to sign my hat for me, Mel. And he said, I don't want to ruin your good hat. And I said, you won't be ruining it. You'll be
adding to it.
And before he signed my hat, and he reached in his pocket just like an old farmer would, and he pulled out this yellow jackknife. He said, I love the Maritimes. He said, I was up there singing a few times, and he was. And he said, I bought this jackknife in Truro, Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I've had it for 22 years. And he put it back in his pocket.
Wow.
And so I passed him my hat. And I got quite a few signatures on the hat there.
Let's take a look there. Yeah, what do you got?
We'll talk about the others, too, here.
We'll talk about the
leading
others.
up to it. But
Anyway, he said, I'll sign your hat like I talk, and he put M Tillis, like he was stuttering. That was awesome. So we spent the rest of the night there. We didn't even leave. We didn't even go downtown Nashville.
No.
And at the time, I think George Jones, one of his guitar players, came in and joined the band, and a player from the Alabama group came in. Like, there was just people coming off the tours, whatever, just dropping in and singing and playing. It was great. Next morning, we go to the buffet breakfast, and somebody said, we never seen you guys downtown at all last night. And I said, who all did you see? And they said, oh, we didn't see no big artists or nothing. He said, but we've seen boys, a great fiddler down here and a great singer here. And I said, yeah, there's a lot of music in Nashville. And they said, where'd you go? Oh, I was just hanging out with Mel Tillis. And they laughed at when I showed them the hat, and then they said, holy jump, that's awesome. So next night we go to the Grand Ole Opry, the 55 of us.
It just keeps getting better.
So I'm sitting there, and who walks out on the stage? But the MC of that night was George Hamilton IV, who we had just met.
Did you know he was going to be the MC?
I didn't know he was going to be the MC that night.
Oh, wow.
So he walks out and he says, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nashville Grand Ole Opry. He said, before we get started, he said, we got a group of 55 Canadians out there on a tour bus. Where are y'all sitting? So we all wave. And he said, he reached in his pocket, he pulled out the card. He said, before we get started, I'd like to have Wayne Hassey and Dorothy O'Brien, Ruth and Ron Nordquist, and Dwane and Gail Drost meet me out back. And I just about fell out of a chair. I looked at the bus driver, and he winked at me. He said, we're going backstage.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go through security, get out backstage, and I got to meet all these artists, like I was saying. I got little Jimmy Dickens,
Wow.
Ricky Skaggs and his wife, Sharon White, George Hamilton IV, Jimmy Capps, Jeannie Seeley, little Jimmy Dickens, Charlie Daniels.
Charlie Daniels, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty...
There's quite a few.
So we never seen the show at all. The whole night we were out back. And we're standing at the curtain on the sidelines watching the show and talking to some of these artists and stuff. And Diamond Rio's lead singer, Marty Rowe, signed it.
Oh, wow.
He sang my favorite song of theirs, I Believe. And anyway, Charlie Daniels, he's a big man.
Yeah.
I had a picture. He's a lot bigger than I am. And he was funny, and we had a great chat. And he was the main artist of the show that night. And he was the last one. I was standing on the curtain, my wife and I, by the curtains. And he walks out. They come out with a flashlight so we wouldn't fall over the cords and stuff. And he walks right up beside me. And he's hitting his leg with his bow, and he had his fiddle in hand and getting all pumped up. Wow. And he looked at me, and he hit me with his bow on the leg. And like, snap. He said, where'd y'all say you from again, boy? With that accent.
Just like the song.
I started laughing. I said, from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. He said, I was just up that way. He said, and he was. He was at the Moncton Casino.
Well, Cheryl and I went to that show. Wow. To see Charlie Daniels.
Awesome.
Unbelievable, really. Especially at that age. He was around 80.
And I said, if you're coming back up again, I hope. And he said, I was planning on it. And I said, well, that's great. And he looked at me and he said, what are you doing standing here? Well, I said, I'm going to watch you play The Devil Went Down to Georgia, I hope. He said, you're my guest. He said, you and your wife come out with me on the stage.
Oh, wow.
And there's bleachers out there on the stage, and there's people sitting there. I just thought that was the band's wives and spouses, whatever. And he said, "You're my guest now. You come right out with me." So when the guy says, "And here he is, Charlie Daniels," and the crowd all roared, and my wife and I walk out with him. I'm going like this, and the people on the bus tour are all going, "He's on stage." And we got to sit from here to you behind Charlie Daniels.
Dwane's just a man after my heart.
Yeah, exactly. How did you get
right up there on stage? The whole people that.
It was awesome. It was a dream trip for me. Like, it was just meant to be.
You would get emotional just talking about that.
Yeah.
Getting right in there.
And so many things happened in that trip. I got to sing at Barbara Mandrell's house.
Oh, that's right. You met her daughter.
Yeah, and her daughter was the tour guide of her log home is a museum now. Like, it's amazing how big it is. And yeah, just the story goes on and on and on. Like, that trip was a dream trip for me.
So doors just kept open.
And you sang it at Barbara Mandrell's house?
Yeah.
You said? What song did you sing? You remember?
I sang while I was there. Jamie had the crew all talking about the house, and we was in this great big round room, and there were pillars and there were autographs and guitars all the way around it, all signed by people. I'm off by myself looking at these guitars, seeing who signed them, and there's just beautiful Gibson guitars, all signed by the Eagles.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorite groups. Yeah. And she happened to say at the time, she said, "Anybody in the group play guitar?" And they all looked over to me, said, "He does." She said, "Feel free to grab anyone and play one." She said, "They're all in tune." I said, "I can actually touch that thing?" She said, "Yeah." So I grabbed the guitar and I sat down. So I had to sing an Eagles tune. I went in, "Peaceful, Easy Feeling," and started singing that. And the crowd Jamie said, "Keep going, keep going." She filmed me doing it. She said, "Mom's gonna love this."
Oh,
she said.
boys.
Oh, wow.
She sent it to her mother. And just crazy things like that happen. It's just you don't never know what music's going to do for you.
No kidding.
Well, that's the thing. It brings people together. It's whether it's at happy times or sad times or in between times. Performing funerals, services, tributes, and celebrations. And you're making that happen. You make that happen.
I've done my share of funerals and
Yeah.
stuff
Yes.
like that for sure. Yeah.
But celebrations, and just like you said,
Or in the kitchen at mealtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
Well, no, just like you said, though, like what music does for community, for families, for people,
For healing.
the fabric of the community. Like, and you're a part of that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you guys too for what you're doing, because you helping local artists like myself get some exposure that we necessarily wouldn't have thought about, or doing this show is amazing. I really appreciate being here.
Well, the stories are golden.
Well,
They really are.
in the way this sort of rekindled here with Dwane and I, because we've known each other for 20 plus years, and was going to the Durham Bridge Crib Tournament. They do it at the community hall there once a month. I know, what am I doing in all my spare time?
When did that get started?
Well, Tyler, as you know, my stepson Tyler, he lives there and went to this first one in February at the Durham Bridge Hall, a monthly fundraiser for the hall, and so he said to me and Cheryl, he said, "You guys have to come out to the March one." So I went out to the March one. Well, my first table, because there's several tables, 60 people play, and first table, and then everyone kind of rotates based on winning and losing, and you're never, very rarely are you with the same partner twice. But anyway, my first set of 4 people, including myself, was Dwane.
Couldn't have been better.
And we got chatting about all these stories and things, and it was so inspiring. And I said, "Oh, do you think you'd want to come on the Carr Brothers show?"
You wrote a song, did you?
And if you just listen to this song.
But yeah, come right on to the Carr Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
So, yeah, you're welcome for, thanks for recognizing that, us supporting local artists and local community projects as well. So,
yeah. Wow.
And getting on here.
So what's in store? What, do you have any new projects coming up? We know you've talked about your 2 shows this year, one in May and then one in the fall. But is there other projects? Have you written any recent songs?
Any
Anything
things you'd like to do? Any visions?
I've written a few songs in the last year or two, I guess. My newest album there called Life Goes On.
Oh, yes.
I wrote a song on there called Uncle John's Letter.
Yeah, and that's a true story. So
It's based
just
on a true
while we got a
story.
few minutes, just kind of touch on that and where it came about and
Yeah.
who is Uncle John?
My Uncle John was one of Mom's brothers.
Is that your mom here in the back?
That's my mom playing the guitar, yeah.
And her name was Shirley Stairs Drost,
Yeah.
and she's playing guitar there on the back.
okay.
And that's your, sorry to interrupt you there,
That's
that's
fine.
your wife and grandchildren maybe?
It's 5 of my 6 grandchildren. Sixth one wasn't born at the time. Yeah.
Carry on there, sorry.
No problem.
You got
Sorry,
a,
Uncle John.
You got an equal number. I got to mention it because you mentioned Maple Leafs, Toronto Maple Leafs,
Yeah.
but you got an equal number of jerseys here. You got a couple with your the Toronto
grandkids, you
Maple
mean?
Leafs and a couple with the Canadian.
Yeah.
Montreal
Canadians.
I
Canadiens.
tried to make them wear blue, but they didn't want to.
That's good. Just
So
to
it
even it out.
blended good.
Even it out. Yes. Anyways,
Anyway,
Tell
Uncle
us
John.
about Uncle John.
Yeah, well, after my mom passed, I got all of her belongings, and I was just going through some stuff, and there was a little jewelry box there, and I pulled the drawers out and just dumped them out and looked at it to think, see if any of my daughters might want something. When I pulled the top one out, I looked inside, and there's a piece of paper flopping there, so I reached in and pulled it out. Little did I know there was 2 mint condition letters from the war, Second World War, that my uncle had sent home to my grandmother. Mom had 11 children in her family, 3 boys and 8 girls. John was the youngest boy, Mom was the youngest girl. So they had a special bond. Anyway, as soon as I sat down, I seen this letter, I opened it up, it was an 8-page letter. So when I opened it up, a picture fell out of it. In this picture was a picture of my grandmother and my mom during the war. And my grandmother was sitting in a chair knitting a sweater, and my mom was standing in a chair behind her in the orchard there. It's a nice little picture. But in the letter, my uncle says, "Thank you, dear mother, for sending me the Bible that you sent me, and the little picture of you and Shirley at the end of the house. Sure takes my heart back home seeing you sitting there knitting that sweater that I know one day you're going to send me." And I wrote this song. As soon as I never even finished the letter. As soon as I seen that part of it, I set it down. I said, Uncle John's going to get a song wrote, and I recalled Uncle John's letter. And another half an hour later, I had the song penned out called Uncle John's Letter. Maybe have to play it on another show someday.
Yes, have you back.
yes.
But it was so touching to know that 68 years later, I'm holding this picture in my hand that came from Italy during the war and sent home. The only thing I could think was my uncles probably figured if I die over here, this picture's just going to go astray. So he sent it home in a letter.
Oh, wow.
And it was just so
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very touching.
Yeah, that's quite something. You got your 6 CDs here. I guess the Christmas one is sold out, but the other 5, and people can still buy these CDs. You still have some copies here and there?
There's still some at the Christian Lighthouse up in Fredericton. And at Dwane Drost's house.
Out in Durham Bridge.
The sad part is there's no vehicles that have CD players in them. The newer ones,
Right.
They don't have CD players no more.
We'll have to get on that thing called Apple and Spotify
Right.
and that, Jack. Maybe you can work on that.
Well,
We've been chatting about that, how we can get you set up on that, and who best can, and
I
get the
gotta
world to see.
keep
the-
up with the ages again.
Yes. Well, we've only got
this
about a
is-
minute left here,
Yeah.
guys.
Well, this has been great. Just very special. Thank you, Jack, for running into and getting reconnected with Dwane Drost. Thank you, Dwane, for being here.
Yeah.
And it's just been special, and hopefully our viewers have really enjoyed it. I know they have.
Yeah.
And
Always touching. Touching just to hear the background and some of the different things that inspire people that we know and we've watched and we've listened to, and just to get a personal touch to it is what our
It's
show
nice
is
to be able
about.
to share my story with some people.
Yeah.
I've been writing a book, I told Jack, for like 8 years, and I can't get it finished because it just keeps growing with what's going on. So.
well, we definitely will have you back again.
Yes.
We got to talk about that big project. So we want to thank everyone, CHCO TV, and everyone who's participated in this, and we'll see you again next time.
Good night.